Would Congress sign off on these 4 priorities?
Well, we have to lead Congress to do that, or we will have an irreparable and calamitous debt crisis.
But assume that you continue to hold the House, the Republicans do. Would they be okay with those 4 priorities?
Absolutely. This is the opportunity of a generation if we have Republican leadership in the House and Senate and President Trump in the White House. It's the Texas two-step for unleashing prosperity, right? It's what the gentleman said. We have to reignite growth, return to pro-growth, pro-work, pro-energy policies, and we have to bend the curve on federal spending. And there's tremendous waste. My committee, the Budget Committee, has passed a balanced budget not once but twice out of committee that cuts about $10 trillion in unnecessary spending, waste, fraud. And I think we're long overdue for the private sector, not politicians, not bureaucrats, but leaders in business and industry to have a zero-based budget approach to combing through and identifying the voluminous inefficiencies and waste in the federal government. So I love the idea, and I look forward to working with Elon Musk and other luminaries in the private sector who've had to do it, David, just to survive in the C-suite and to make sure that their companies succeed. And we don't have that mentality.
Nobody proved it like Elon Musk. I mean, cutting 80 to 90% of Twitter when he bought it was a hell of an activity. And you know, it survives to this day. Some say it's even better. Here he is during that rally that former President Trump had at Madison Square Garden last Sunday. Take a look. Listen.
Yes.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
At least $2 trillion you can cut from the budget. Is that possible?
You better believe it is, and that's just the beginning. We're paying tens of billions in social services to people who are here illegally. We're not requiring people to work who receive welfare. Just one welfare to work incentive in Medicaid is $100 billion. Our waste and fraud, which the Government Accountability Office terms improper payments, there's $50 billion of improper payments in Medicaid, Medicare, $236 billion government-wide. That's more than we spend on the United States Army. There's hundreds of billions of dollars, according to the Congressional Budget Office, in carryover bloat from COVID. So that's the beginning of trillions of dollars in reducing spending and reducing our deficit and national debt so that our best days are ahead of us and we don't drown our children and their future in this sea of debt that is ever growing.
Let's talk about all these tax changes that former President Trump has talked about that he'd like to initiate. No taxes for overtime, for tips, for Social Security recipients, et cetera. Would Congress sign on to those?
Well, here's the most important thing. He's got a list, I think, now of $10 trillion in tax cuts. You got one president that wants to lower your taxes and lock in the $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for families, more on the lower income spectrum than higher, and to make sure our businesses are competitive. So there's a litany of ways to do that. The important thing is we don't let the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expire. Under Kamala Harris, it'd be the highest tax increase on American families and businesses in history, and she wants to continue.
But Congressman,
so
what I'm hearing is a little reluctance to go ahead and say, okay, I'm for everything that Trump has mentioned. I sense there's going to be some bargaining with regard to some of those tax proposals that Trump has come out with.
I think I'd like to cut as much as we can in terms of expenses and taxes for the government and for businesses and families, but you have to balance the cost of that. That's important because of a $2 trillion deficit and $1 trillion in interest payment to service the debt. So, yeah, I'd like to go as deep as we can to let people keep more of their money. They've lost so much in their wages, 3.5% cut in their income. Right. They're spending $1,400 a month more for the same services and products that they had pre-COVID. They need to keep their money. Right. So I think President Trump is introducing a list of things for negotiation, but the first step is locking in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that gave us unprecedented growth and low poverty rates, et cetera.
I have a sense that some of that preliminary negotiating has already begun on tariffs as well with Donald Trump on this stump, and that may change as well. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Safe travels to you.